What's going on, family? Look, one thing that I am on a journey of is truly relying on God. In everything that I have going on in my life, in relationships, in finances, in business, just everything that's in my life, I'm truly relying on God. And one of the things that He teaches us is worrying. He teaches us about worrying. Because in the book of Matthew, he tells us this. He says, why do you worry about your everyday life? Why? Why are you worrying about your everyday life? Why are you worrying about the things that you're going to wear, the things that you're going to eat, the clothes that you're going to put on, um, things that you're going to drink? Why are you worrying about these things? And look, I get it. I get it. It's hard not to worry because life be lifing. Life be life, and it gets hard out here sometimes, and there's so much that's going on within this world. It's so much negativity that's going on in this world. There's so much evilness that's spread out through this world. It's just a lot of things to cause you to worry in this life, and I truly understand, and I understand how hard it is not to worry. But we have to get to a point where we're fully relying on what God is doing within our lives and what He's promised to do within our lives. And one of the things that He's calling us out of is worrying. Because one thing He said is this. He said, with the amount of worry that you have going on in your life, right? Can it add a single year, a day, a moment to your life? And when you look at it, it actually does the opposite of it. It takes more away from you than it actually adds to you. And what a lot of us don't realize is this. When you begin to worry, it actually gives root to other emotions that don't need to be attached to you. And what emotions am I talking about? Stress. And you already know when you begin to stress, now you're putting yourself in a position of thinking things or doing things that you probably shouldn't do, or think things that you probably shouldn't. It's going to be some things that may compromise your integrity, I should say. When you begin to stress in your life, you begin to do things that is not of your character. If you're in a position where you're hurting for money, you may do some questionable things in your life to get the money that you need. If you're hungry, you may do some questionable things to get fed. And so that's why Jesus is teaching us not to worry about our everyday lives and truly be relying upon Him, because He's going to provide for us. And I know how hard it is to believe that at times, but Jesus is going to provide for us. We're going to have everything that we need, but we can't worry, we can't stress about it, because when we begin to worry and we begin to stress about it, then it begins to cause depression within our lives. And now we begin to get anxious about certain things that's going on within our lives. And that's not what Jesus is calling us to do. That's not what He's calling us to do. He's not calling us to worry. He's not calling us to stress. He's not calling us to be depressed and to have all this anxiety within our hearts, because when we begin to have all those emotions bottled up inside of us, now we do things that are very questionable. We do things that is not of our character. We do things that put us in, even worse positions than we started out in. So we have to learn to relinquish that worry that we're creating within our lives. We have to stop worrying about these things. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, I know that it's hard. I do. But like he said, why worry? Why worry about tomorrow? Tomorrow has its own troubles. We need to be focused on what's going on today, what is in front of us. We can't worry about what's not even here right now, because now you're adding even more stress. Now you're adding even more worry to yourself. And that's not what He's calling us to do. We have a responsibility and a personal mandate in this life to not worry about the things that we want or the things that we need, because we have to understand that He's going to provide. He's going to put us in situations where, we can get the money we need. He's going to put us in situations where we're going to have the food that we need. We're going to have the clothes on our backs. You see what I'm saying? It may not be a deposit in your bank account. It may just be Him putting you in the right setting for you to be taken care of. And that's one thing that I personally learned. Anytime I've ever been in a situation and I needed something, it wasn't always a check in the mail. It wasn't always a deposit in the bank account. It was God put me in the right environment with the right people that took care of me. When I used to stress and I used to worry about so many things, because that's who I was. I was a person, I used to worry about everything. I'm thinking about things that's days in advance, days that's not even here, days that's not even promised to me. But I'm already thinking about it instead of focusing on what is in front of me, what is present at this present time. And like I said, we have to get to a point where we stop worrying about these things and we have to be fully relying on what God is doing in our lives. And the way that we be relying on him is by using scripture. We have to be able to understand what his word says and what his word is telling us to do in moments like this. You know, just like he tells us in the book of Matthew chapter 6, he tells us, you know, where are your treasures? Where are your treasures being held up? Is your treasures here on this earth or is your treasures in heaven? Because if your treasures are here on this earth, now your treasures are attached to other things that it does not need to be attached to. But if your treasures are in heaven, then that's where your heart is focused on. And when your heart is focused on heaven, your sights is focused on him. Because when you take your eyes off him, that's when things begin to deviate from the path that he set you on. And now you're creating more worry, and now you're creating more stress, now you're creating more anxiety, now you're creating more depression. No, you have to be able to fully surrender all of these things to God. That relationship that you're in, you have to fully surrender it to God. That financial trouble that you're in, you got to fully surrender it to God. You know, the days that you're going without, you have to fully surrender it to God because he's going to provide for you. I promise you this. I'm living proof of this. I know people right now that's fully relying on God and he's blessing them. They're prospering in the way that he's destined them to prosper in. You just have to trust the process. Keep praying, keep staying into scripture, keep worshiping, keep surrendering everything over to him. Trust me, he's going to make a difference. Love y'all.